What's happening? This is Ryan Dawkins, and you're tuning in to The Loft.
Has brought out the best of me.
I caught on pretty quick. I wore this hat for you for Miami Music Week.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was planning on going. I ended up backing out last minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, had just came back from Nashville, so I'm like, I'm just, gonna take it easy.
Yep.
But that's the goal next year to go to Miami Music Week.
It's not a goal. You're gonna do it. I'm locking you in already for next year. So
yeah, we're gonna make it happen for sure.
100%.
But yeah, I wore this hat for you, bro. Just 11.
I appreciate it. It's bringing the Miami vibes. It's beautiful outside right
it's
now.
70 degrees right now, and can't beat it. But yeah, I when I was last time I was in Miami, it was like probably last March, and around a year ago, went to 11. This hat was $90. $90. I think I got finessed, but
You definitely got.
well, as what happens when you're drunk though, bro. You're at 11. You're like, oh, and the person you're with wants a shirt. You're like, I'll get a hat. Why not?
And then you're like, if I come back, you're like, I gotta have the 11 hat when I'm going out.
Well, the problem was her shirt was like $30, and I think she just finessed me for sure, and I didn't care. But
it's
yeah,
the
bro.
experience.
That's it, man. Well, yeah, man. So I just want to welcome you to Philly, and
Thank you.
welcome to the pod.
Appreciate it.
Where would you say you're at now? Is it not Hoboken, right? Is it?
No. So I had a residency in Hoboken and did all the marketing and everything in Hoboken for 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I maybe a year and a half ago left Hoboken, was like, it's all the same stuff. So I've been more like Central Jersey or South Jersey,
Okay.
Jersey Shore stuff.
So what locations would you say those are?
It would be really all South Jersey. Like you probably heard of like Headliner, down in the Shore. You already know HQ a couple times throughout the year. Bunch of local spots down the Shore. But I would say after leaving Hoboken, it kind of opened up a lot more doors for me because I was literally there almost every single day. It was nonstop.
Yeah, I feel like that's especially in this industry, like it's a very like scary thing to do. Like the like the jump to a new spot. I know. I just saw on Instagram. I think it was like DJ KEV or something. He just moved to Carolina.
Yep.
And I saw I was scrolling through and I saw he posted that yesterday, and I was like, well, he's taking the leap. And like, when you made that jump, sure everything was pretty uncertain for you, right? You were just like why did you make the jump in regards to like what you saw for you?
It had a lot to do with a lot of things. Making the jump of having something that's guaranteed, where I know that I'm making money Monday through Friday, and then also making money Saturday through Sunday. Like the entire week is like guaranteed up there. And then completely just saying, there was a lot of politics involved. A lot of disagreements after a while, and I was at a point where I'm like, I know what I am worth. And I know you could definitely say, like, I always tell people this, is that, if you have a good relationship with, when you're dealing with ownership management of a venue or place, there's two options. Things could always go sour, and then it's up to you to either fix that situation or get yourself out of the situation. Because if you just sit in it, it's just going to make it toxic. You're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. And then what are you going to it just becomes a spiral.
Yeah.
So I was at a point where I was like, you know what? It's time for me to just get out of here and take the leap, see what happens. And it was definitely well worth it, because I could definitely say, price went up, more opportunities. And now that my calendar and book is opened in technicality more at that time, I was telling people down closer to where I live, I was like, hey, I'm available.
Yeah.
And it was just a better scenario for the time that everything happened.
Yeah.
And it gave me more time to focus on other things that I was doing.
Yeah, like
side
you
projects.
found yourself in a better situation and just like I said, more opportunities. I think everybody gets to that point eventually when they're chasing something, especially like. Don't want to talk too much about the industry because like I'm sure because just in regards to a lot of people can relate to I feel like what we're talking about in different lanes, if that makes sense. Like,
yep.
You know, it's the thing that like I see, even those things that I think about a lot too is like just like how do you pivot and how do you like keep growing, because like you can put everything you have into something you're doing for a certain amount of time, and that there's always that chase. And I feel like that at some point, the chase, you kind of reach your destination. It's almost like for example, a UFC championship, right? Like you win UFC belt, it's like, oh shit, now what? And
I talk about this literally all the time. It's literally that it's a never-ending book with endless chapters. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, there should be no end all be all for you. Like, oh my God, I just hit. Now, it could be a highlight, but I always tell people, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, you can't make it a, like, that's it. Like, I'll give you a great example. Me playing it at HQ, right? It's fantastic. I've been playing it in Atlantic City for now a long time. I've played almost every place. And it's like, just because I played in Atlantic City, some of these guys are like, oh my God, this is like the best thing. Like I did it. I'm playing in the best place like, I'm like, no, like I want to play like in Spain. Like I want to play in Portugal. I want to play like in different places, but those are my not end all be alls. That's just like in my mind, the next chapter of
exactly
where I want to go. And like you were saying, it doesn't have to just be in DJing. Like you should set your goals and then not let that goal be the end all be all, but let that be a point where then you're like, all right, now I'm here. What's next? Like, where do I go from that?
Yeah. That was a real struggle I had last year. I was like, with specifically the Dawkins episode. I was like, dude, like that was a great episode, and I'm like, shit, like how do you, like my mind kind of went to like how do you reach what's the next thing, and it's like the second you start thinking about that is when it's like the beginning of like when you kind of get in your head. So I've been like really just telling myself just to stay consistent. Like I don't really I keep it pretty simple like that.
Yep.
And so like you've been in the industry for a minute now, right? Obviously, how long have you been DJing for?
Since I was 17, and in May I'm gonna be 33. So
okay,
it's been a long time.
Yeah, no, I mean
over almost 15.
Yeah, no, how old was it? Yeah, 15 years.
Almost, just about.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I've been doing this for a long time, and never in my mind did I ever think that I was going to be in this career. It just kind of happened.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of how it happens for everyone. Everyone has different reasons for getting into it, right? Like,
yep.
And what would you say was your reason for getting into it?
So I was very fortunate to be in the nightlife scene before like iPhones and dating apps and things like that kind of took over the world. It was like right at the precipice of, I want to say for New Jersey nightlife especially, because there was a lot of things going on. Like when I was 17, you had Abyss in Jersey, which was a very prominent club. You had Deco, very, very prominent club that is like very world-renowned kind of club for this area. You had Karma down the shore, which everybody knows Karma, Bamboo. Like all these clubs in Jersey were opened, and I was at a point where I was getting out of high school, and I came from like not a strict family, but my dad's an attorney, my mom is a paralegal, they both work together, and I was at a point where I just wanted to go out and live my life. And I would go to the club. I'd pay $20 to get into the door. Like, we would do it the old-fashioned way, trying to meet girls at that time. And then it got to a point where, you know, I made friends with the girl at the door, and I'm like, and she'd be like, "You're good, don't worry, go in." And at that point, I would see the DJs and I would see these promoters, and I'm like, I know so many people that I should be a promoter. Like, I should work here. And so I didn't start as a DJ. I started as a promoter at these clubs, and I want to say that I did really well for just being solo promoter. And then it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that I was never satisfied with just being where I was at. I always wanted more. So I was a promoter, and then I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I met one of my good friends who I'm still friends with today. His name is Nero, and he was doing private events. By private events, like, he was doing like events at these like clubs. So he would hire me to be a promoter, and then I'm watching him, and he was an MC and a DJ, and he was in a different realm because he was in like tech house, techno, all that, and he brought me into like his family. And from there, I saw him MCing, and I'm like, I can MC. And so at that time, I was like still in college and doing like public speaking classes and stuff like that, because I was never an outgoing person at all. Very introvert, like, did not want to talk to anybody. And I started MCing, and then from MCing I was like, but I think I want to DJ, like, because I was just around it so much. And I grew up not in the commercial top 40s. I grew up in like the tech house scene, which is completely like opposite of majority. So from there, I went into DJing, and I'll never forget, I sat in a car, and for my friends that know this story, they know this story. I sat in a car with Anthony Carnelli, he goes by A Vision, Mike Matera, and there was a couple other guys in the car, and I'm sitting, and we were in a Sonic drive-thru.
Yeah.
And I go, guys, I think I'm going to just DJ. I'm going to go for it. And they were like, just do it. Like, if you want to do it, like, nobody's stopping you. Try it. So at that time, because I was with tech house DJs, they were using Tractor, like that X1. That was the thing.
Yeah.
And I learned on how to DJ with that. Didn't use turntables, didn't use CDJs. Controllers were not even a thing at that moment in time. Or if they were, nobody. It was the time when everybody was like frowning on controllers. Right,
because it was like too advanced, too much.
Everybody was like, you got to do it the old school way. You got to do turntables. You got to do CDJs, and or if you're in tech house, do Tractor. So I started with Tractor. I bought from my boy. He had this old. It looked like a Pioneer Nexus mixer, and I had the X1. It was a Behringer mixer, and it was a Tractor sound card. And I would DJ with that, and I started learning how to DJ on that. I was god awful, really bad.
That's how you have to start,
And then from there, I just went on to learn everything. Self-taught myself everything. Turntables, CDs, USBs, everything. And from there, I just it's kind of an endless story that's still going.
Well, yeah, you can't put there's always highlights and there's stuff, but like when it comes to like when you look at where you're at now in regards to just what you're doing, it's hard to put like a pinpointed thing on it, because it's a constant hustle, right? Like, you're just always hustling, and that's like part of the game. And you kind of, when you got tunnel vision, you're not thinking about each thing. You're kind of like, it's always, like we said before, like, what's next? And it's funny, like I said, I feel like self-sustainability is everything. It's a lot of times people want to know how you did this or how you did that. They want to like, want you to teach them. And it's like, it's just in practice, it sounds fine, or in theory it sounds fine, but in practice it's not practical, because, like I said, like, I always was taught to be self-sustainable. So like anything I do, I'm just gonna do it myself. And like, and it's a bit lonely of a road, but I think it at the end of the day, it's what gives you your for lack of a better term, I guess, self-sustainability, you know?
I know exactly what you're saying. So like, the funny thing with what I do is like, my back end of what I was doing is like when I was in high school, I was taking Photoshop classes. And so the one thing that I had an edge on compared to a lot of what everybody else was is that I did my own graphics. So when I would go and, you know, do these parties and things like that, I would also tell the people like, hey, like, you know, if you want to pay me, I'll do, you know, a flyer here, I'll do a flyer there, whatever. But it kind of goes to what you're saying with like the self-sustainability. I didn't want to depend on anybody else because all I knew is I could depend on me. Now I could depend on my boys, but I also didn't like putting the burden on other people either. I'm that type of person where like, if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it myself, or I'm going to teach myself so that way I know it. But it's like what you said, self-sustainability, like hold yourself, in my mind, you hold yourself accountable to everything. If you don't, then that's where you kind of fall off.
Yeah. And here, turn the mic this way a little bit too.
Yeah, you got it.
Perfect. No, what I was going to say was I got a phone call last week, like, so I feel like after the Eagle season, I kind of hit a wall, like mentally. So like, and my mom kind of like put in word to someone that like I kind of need a little bit of like to talk to someone, like
a pep talk,
sort of, yeah. And it was this woman that I haven't really talked to in years, and the entire time when she was talking to me, I was like, my head, I'm like, I'm just surprised she's taking time out of her day to talk to me. Do you know what I mean? Does that make, like, I was like, I always thanked her, like every 5 minutes. I'm like, thank you for just like giving me your time, like, because you're so used to just doing shit yourself, and sometimes it's okay to just like need to take a little bit of help, because I like.
Is this that lady that you were working with in the beginning when I first met you?
No, this is this is the woman this is someone from years ago that I played basketball with her son like years ago. We all kept in touch and still keep in touch, but
nice.
Yeah, but like the self-sustainability thing is a double-edged sword, right? It's the one thing where it's like, yeah, you're able to do things yourself, but like sometimes you take it a bit too far. And that's what I'm kind of teetering at, you know what I mean? It's like you want to be able to rely on yourself, but it's also okay if someone wants to step in and offer help in some way.
I'm learning that this year.
Yeah.
That, you know, I've been with so many groups of people. COVID time, I try to be innovative with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And like an example, during COVID, I was like, you know what? I'm like, there's so many people who I literally was talking to DJ wise, where they're like, hey Brandon, I'm just down and depressed. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like my mom used to tell me, like, you know, have a backup. Like, she's like, during COVID, you're not going to be able to DJ. And when my mom was saying it, I was like, you don't know, like, there's no way they're shutting down the world. Like, there's no way. And then when they did it, I was like, shit, my mom's right. Like, what do I do? And I just felt bad because a lot of my friends, like, they had families, they have kids, and all they did was DJ. And so I was like, how can I do something for them to still be able to get off, like do what they need to do? And because DJing was their passion. And so I created a group. I had a bunch of guys involved, and we did live streams every single day, 12 hours a day, straight from our Instagram. And each hour was a different DJ. The next DJ, we would have a lineup, like it would be a set lineup, and they would have the logins. They log into the Instagram, and then they go live on the Instagram, the Facebook, and I think we had Twitch. And what was cool during COVID is Twitch did a thing for DJs where they immediately made you I guess whatever it is, the higher thing where you can actually get paid. Okay. So that affiliate. Yeah. They made you an affiliate, and so I was able to make our account an affiliate account where, you know, because a lot of these DJs too, the other thing is a lot of these DJs felt funny asking for like putting their Zelle or putting their Cash App and stuff. But my going back, because I'm sidetracking a little, the whole thing is like with these groups, I had a group with them at the end, towards the end, we were in maybe week 20 of doing this every single day.
That's crazy.
And we were at our just wits end. And so I was like, we all kind of separated, and then had maybe 2 or 3 other groups with other guys, and it's just holding accountability and knowing your role. And and this year specifically, because I have so much going on, I'll be in Miami Music Week for next week. I'm putting more people, because I still take on a brunt of a lot of the work that I do, but I am putting a lot of faith in a lot of the guys that have stuck with me for the past 5 years going. So that to me is hard, because I learned that, I'm a big believer in that, you have your strengths, I have my strengths, and being able to do what I can do is fantastic. Being able, like, I'm a graphic designer. I can do all the artistic things, come up with the ideas, the names for the events, everything. And then let's just say you're a good back-end guy. You're good at writing out the contracts and doing that. That's your job. And then let's just say we have somebody else, and he's good at talking and brokering the deals. So everybody has their own role. And the problem that I've faced in the past is that some people don't realize that, like, your role is your role. Like, they expect you to do more than what your role is. And sometimes I feel like for people, it's difficult. And I want to say maybe a couple of years ago, I realized, I was like, if I see it going down that path, I'll just completely just get myself out of that. But specifically for this year, as long as I have, like, the core group of guys that see the same goal as me, understand that, like, hey, I'm the graphics guy. Hey, you can handle making the deals. Like, for this year, for Miami Music Week, I have my friend Matt that's involved. I brought him on heavy to help me out with stuff. And I let him handle, do a lot of bookings of the DJs. I let him handle doing a lot of phone calls where I would normally just do the phone call. So it goes back to what you're saying is that giving people that, like, trusting people, to have that give them that opportunity to take on the roles rather than me just doing it all by myself, which is a lot. No,
there's definitely a balance for sure. There's always delegating things that are at the bottom of your list. I think that's kind of where it starts, and then I think that you reward loyalty with loyalty, and you reward disloyalty with distance. You know what I mean? And that's, like, kind of what it all comes down to. So the people that are loyal to you, maybe, that's always built with time. I feel like everything gets healed with time. So, like, if there's people that stuck by you and they're still with you and they're still around, and that's when, all right, cool, like, you're still with me, I'm gonna give you loyalty, I'm gonna give you maybe more of a responsibility, and but that's all gotta be earned. And that, like I said, that's an issue that, like, I've been having, is just like I said, just finding people to help, and, like, just because you want to do, like I said, you want to do everything yourself, but, like I said, that all just takes time, and it takes, like, the consistency that you put into it, not, you know what I mean? So and then, like, so right now with your DJ business, so it's like you started off, so where would you say you're in South Jersey and that kind of area, right? Like, you're the Jersey area, right?
Central Jersey.
South, yeah.
During summer is heavy Jersey Shore, South Jersey. And then during I want to say fall, winter, spring is, like, a little mix of both, a little bit of New York. So. And do you have a favorite market as of right now? I mean, it really all depends. I get into moods. So I can be in, again, I grew up in, like, the tech realm. So I could be in a mood where all I want to do is, like, I'll give you a great example. My friend Matt, for one of the shows that I booked for next week, he goes, hey, I got these guys. It's 3 dudes from 3 different boroughs in New York. He's like, they're playing at Listen in Brooklyn. It's like, do you want to go and hear these guys? He goes, I think you should really check them out. And I was like, I don't, like, it's hard for me because, like, I'm always working. So I'm like, I'm going to take a day off. And then I was like, you know what? There's going to be, there's a reason why. I'm a big believer in fate. Everything happens for a reason. So I was like, you know what? I was like, let me just go. So he's like, bro, I'll pick you up. I was like, all right, cool. So I go to Listen, and it brought, I promise you, swear, it brought me back to the feeling of, in the beginning days of when I started, of what the sound that I was listening to, the feeling when I walked into the room. Shout out to my boy Lil Mike from Soundworks, because that's his place, and it gave me that old school feeling, and it was almost like inspiring, because I was listening to something I haven't listened to in a long time. So that's why I say, like, I'm always it depends on my mood, you know. I grew up with 4B. Like, 4B was Ed Deco. Like, before 4B was 4B, he was Bobby, and he was he was within my crew that I worked with, and like, he's the Jersey Club guy. So, you know, I could be in a total Jersey Club mood and like to play Jersey Club, or I could be in a total just, you know, hip hop mood and drop a crazy throwback hip hop set. So it just depends on the mood I'm in. But I don't know. I can't say that I like one thing or another, but I have appreciation for every like type of sound.
Yeah, and you said you believe in everything happens for a reason.
Yep. I literally, if I were to get something tattooed, it would probably be that. Yeah, I think so too. And I try to always tell myself too, like, that. I try to continue to tell myself that. You know, and I always feel like too, like, that that life is better spent, not saved. Yep.
And you know, so like been trying to like tell myself that, like, every room that I'm in, and I'm not supposed to be in this room. Like, I feel like me and you are supposed to be talking right now, and things like that. And I just feel like it's a certain way to go about life that that kind of allows things to kind of flow into your life. That makes sense.
Me and you didn't know each other at all.
Yeah.
You literally just somehow randomly popped up on my Instagram, and I was like, let me look at this kid.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, and I'm like, I really like what he does. And what these guys don't know is, like, I reached out to you, and I was like, let's talk. Like, let's get lunch. We literally got lunch. How long? It might have been
probably a year ago, maybe a little more than a year.
No, it was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
It was like 2 years ago. And we just got lunch, and we just shoot the shit, and we were just bullshitting and talking. And just because I saw what you were doing, again, everything in my mind happens for a reason. So, like, and then the progression from where you were at that moment in time to where you are now is like night and day.
Yeah.
Too. So
yeah, it's that. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And it was so funny because I was thinking about that before we set this up, and I was like, yeah, like, I remember we met, like, we went and got like oysters and stuff like that, like sushi, oyster, and I was like, man, it's cool. Like I said, it was cool to just be able to, like, be around that and just show it you and chop it up with you. And I'm just I've just been more recently just been like someone who just wants to put myself around good people and just like good energy, and like I just feel like that's what it becomes more about than anything. And
as you get older,
and like, so I'm 28 now, and I'm just like, I'm excited to see where I'm at, and the next year, and then the following year, and I want to keep doing what I'm doing, like, for the rest of my life, and just find the next evolution of it. And my question for you is, like, over time throughout your career, I feel like we always evolve into different people, and have you ever had a struggle with when it comes to your evolution? Is like, what's next? Because
yeah. So I would say, you know, as you get older, you live and you learn, right? In the beginning stages of when I started, you know, I would say that, you know, you make a lot of mistakes, and then from those mistakes you learn and you move on from those. So, you know, what I do, so for the people that don't know, I own a DJ agency. So I take on a lot of guys, and my philosophy is bringing on guys who I feel that deserve all the recognition in the world. But, you know, the way that this industry is, it's very politically based, and, you know, they'll give the shot to somebody else who, I don't want to say somebody who doesn't deserve it, but it's just somebody who maybe didn't work hard to get there. They just had, it was the right place, the right time, or they knew somebody. And a lot of these guys who I like to work with and put my time and effort in, they deserve opportunities. And where you're saying evolving, I like to kind of take all the lessons and things that I've learned in the past, however long it's been that I've been doing it, and help them avoid mistakes I've made and things like that. Now, keep in mind, there's some people who, you know, you just can't help, and they just need to just, if I hit a brick wall at one point and I'm trying to help them avoid hitting a brick wall, but it's like, you know the term where like lead a horse to water, can't make the word, you know, the horse drink it. There's some people I realize that, you know, I gotta let them, even though it kills me, because I really genuinely want to help people, but there's just some people you can't help, and it kills me, but you gotta let it happen, because so many times where I've helped guys and I'm like, guys, listen, I was like, you guys could do whatever the hell you want to do what you want. I was like, I've been in this situation, and I like to give my advice, so that way at that time, if they're like, you know what, Brandon, you're right, you know, if this happened or whatever, I don't want that to happen to me. So, and then there's other people who are like, yeah, no problem, and then they go do it anyways, and it's just like, all right, whatever, you know. So I have made so many mistakes in my past with gigs and, you know, DJ Code 101 and things like that, and I try to, for the newer guys and the newer generation, I would say maybe around your age, maybe a little younger, a little older, I try to give them advice. Like, I feel like I'm sounding old, but like, just give them that like fatherly, brotherly, uncle advice, so that way maybe they don't make the mistakes that I made, and they can almost, like, in a sense, skip a chapter, so they don't have to go through the bullshit of that.
It's a tough balance, because you care about people, and then you eventually, like, you grow to care about others, and there's a balance between wanting to skip a few chapters and there's and having them learn for themselves, you know. The best way to learn is to go through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's difficult for me now. What I'm realizing is that, you know, I want to help you. There's so many guys, like, I have my boy Joe Rowe, I have my boy Rocco. If I told you their stories are all wild. And, you know, the way I was, you know, I've always been throwing parties, always doing stuff. And, you know, like, I took on my boy Joe, and Joe was like, yeah, you know, I'm a DJ, local, whatever. I would love to come DJ. Like, I was doing a party at Monmouth University. It was called Stingers. Legendary, if you ask anybody from that area. And I took him on, and I was like, you know what? I was like, cool. He wanted to open for me, and I was like, cool, no problem. I was like, and this is the type of guy I was. I was like, come to my house. I want to see what you can do before I just go. I don't want to throw somebody on. Yeah. Anybody could tell me that they could DJ or whatever, because I cared about the party so much that, you know, I don't want to throw somebody on, and then it, you know, if they suck, not trying to be mean, but I don't want the party to, you know, suck, because then it's a reflection on you.
I agree.
So I had him come to my house. He wasn't great with mixing. He had a good knack for, you know, song selection. So I was like, listen, if you're going to open for me, I want you to take this playlist. I want you to play it top to bottom and do it. And I made him do it for like 3 hours. And then he came to Stingers. Phenomenal. Me and him have been best friends since that day, which is now almost over 10 years. Yeah. So point is that, like, you know, there's people like him who stick with you, that listen, and not saying it like listen, but like they take
feedback.
Yeah, like if they take your advice, you know, they're genuinely taking it. And then there's, you know, other people who I've worked with where, you know, I help them out, and I tried helping them. And the other problem I notice in the industry in itself is that, you know, there's always the outside influence. And I'm a big believer, if you didn't do something to me, that, you know, I can't make a judgment on you just because somebody said that you are this, that, or whatever.
Absolutely agree.
And I think that is a huge problem in the industry right now, is that a lot of these guys will say that they are for the culture of DJing and for, you know, helping one DJ brother, sister for another. But then when push comes to shove, they're the ones that are saying, oh, I hate that guy. You know, that guy's no good because that guy did this. But did that guy, like, have you ever spoken to that guy?
Right.
You know, I give people second chances because this is literally what I tell people. I give people second chances because nobody in my past ever gave me a second chance. You know, so that's why I think I really like to help people, is because, you know, I was never given, you know, opportunities. You know, I've made mistakes, but, you know, it's overcoming the mistakes and still being where you are, to overcoming it and owning your mistakes.
Yeah.
Which is what makes you, I feel like, a better person.
Yeah, I think I think that's real, because when you own something, then no one can use it against you. You know what I mean?
It is what it is.
Yeah. And I've been like I said, I've been trying to I try, whenever there is like energy like that, I try to just remove myself from it. Like, because for me, like I said, it just takes more energy out of you just to believe, to think that way. And like, you know, shout out to you for giving these guys, you know, chances and second chances. You know, and it's like
third chances sometimes.
Yeah. Well, at that point, it's on you, right? That's what the famous line by J. Cole, and
it's the "fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me" type thing. And you know, I truly take these people like as if they're my brother or my sister, and I just really, I always just want to help, and that's why I kind of started, you know, what I did. I was working with other people prior, and then it went back to what I was telling you, where, you know, people expected more from me than what I could give. You know, if I'm a graphic designer and I'm not a writer, like I can't write you 10-paragraph essays. Yeah. But I can make you 1,000 flyers and make them beautiful and perfect and come up with actual events and things. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, you got, now I'm at a point where this is where like this, like everything we said kind of wraps up into one. It's like, you know, holding myself accountable, but also still giving people responsibilities and trusting people to be able to do what they need to do. And that's where my agency is kind of at now, where it's like I'm still in baby steps with what I do, and my agency is not to throw parties, but I do the parties to help build the brand, to help build the guys who I work with. That is the only reason why I do it. I can make $0, which I've made $0 many times, and you know, parties how many parties have you done where they've done either really good or you're like, shit. Yeah. You know. You need both. Yep. Yeah. I've had, I mean, like I said, I've had one that have done really well, some that have done okay, but you take something from every single one of them. And like I said, I really love, like I just truly find myself becoming the best version of myself when I'm at the worst version. If that, it sounds like all over the place, but I always find myself in like progressions and evolution. Like I mentioned to you. Yeah. Like I know that when I'm in a place that I know that I need to do better, that at that time where I feel the shittiest, I know is when I'm going to grow. Like right now, I do think I'm at that point again. I was there 2 years ago when I was doing like, you know, Sunday nights at a dive bar, right? That could give two fucks about me if something happened, right? But I made money. I brought people in. I did my thing. And obviously people, that's not a thing I like to say, but I brought my Northeast Philly crew came out. You did what you had to do to make the night successful.
Yeah, and to show value to the place, to keep it going. And then, you know, like I said, I went through a time where that kind of all fell and you feel like your world's kind of crumbling, and then that's when the survival instinct kind of kicks in and say, all right, what's next? Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at again. And I'm excited to see what happens in the next 2 years, you know, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people in general struggle with, is that they get to this place where, and I'm sure you have as well, like when you took your leap out of Hoboken, right? Yeah. Like you feel like you're at a place, oh shit, like what's next? You feel like, you know, am I like you're just like, you just ask yourself, what's next? Like I've done everything I could, now what?
It's taking 2 steps back to take 5 steps forward is kind of what we're at. It's, you know, like the word you're using, you have to pivot. And you know, at the time when I left Hoboken, I just bought a house. So I was like, all right, I got a mortgage. Like I got my car payment. I got all my own, like my own issues, my own problems. I'm like, that's also the things that are on my mind at the time. And so I'm like, if I leave here now, I have to make sure that I can step up to the plate and do what I got to do to pay my bills, live my life, and still do what I got to do. And so, like you're saying, you have to take those steps back. And that leap of faith is those steps back where it's that feeling in your stomach where you're like, shit, you're like, I don't know what the outcome is going to be. But you know that if you didn't take that leap, you wouldn't know. I watch, it's so crazy. My Instagram, because, it listens and it tracks everything that you
knows
do.
everything about you now.
Oh my God. And now lately, if you even look at my Instagram, I get so many of those like inspirational videos, like with Kevin Hart or Denzel or whatever. And it's like I saw one with Owen Wilson before, I think it was, no, it was Matthew McConaughey. And he's like, just do it. He's like, nobody's telling you to half-ass it. Like when I was doing my parties for Miami, this is my 5th year. When I was doing them, I was like, there's so many times where I saw that I only had like 5 tickets sold, and I'm like, oh, and I literally would go to my guys and I'd be like, guys, do you think I should just pull it? And I'm like, and I would be freaking out because, like, at the time I'm like, I don't have that much going on. I'm like, I don't want this to be a failure. And so my boy Unique, who is one of my best friends and one of my partners with everything I do over here, he goes to me, he's like, what do you have to lose? Like, at this point, you came this far, just do it. Because if you pull it back, and if it could have been a success, that's the word, it could have been. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like us as DJs, as in a sense, we're entrepreneurs, doing something that is not in the norm, taking that leap of faith, even though that, you don't know what the outcome is going to be, taking that chance is, and whether you succeeded or you failed, no matter what, it's success in my mind, because you learn from it. The amount of shit you learn from just failing or doing something wrong or making a mistake makes you into the person that you're supposed to be.
That's facts. And I'll say it definitely makes your life interesting, right? Like, you're never a dull moment.
My life is literally, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I could be on a sitcom and I'd probably make millions of dollars. like a reality show.
Yeah.
Like, I would make so much money.
Here's my question too, is like, now we're going to kind of get into like the deeper philosophy of all this shit, because I'm sure people love to hear shit about the industry, but no, it's like, it's more so, how do you find, whether it's the word peace, or how do you find comfort in the unknown and not knowing your outcome? That's
a good question, because I've come to the point now where I chose doing a DJ agency rather than a promotional company for a reason, because I was like, I'm so sick of the unknown with throwing events. I've thrown events all my life. I've been a promoter in technicality for all my life. I'm still in technicality because I'm a DJ, a promoter. That comes with the job title now. But I chose to go this route because I enjoy helping people. That's A. And B, I was like, when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, I don't have to, promote or throw events or do anything, because there's that risk, the risk factor, the risk that, these people are expecting me to bring X, Y, Z, and I didn't bring it. And I was like, if I just go and bring quality talent and make sure that the DJ that I put on at a venue is able to keep the people there from the moment they start to the time the lights go on or when the event ends, then I know that I did my job right, and I don't have to worry about that risk, that feeling that you were talking about. But the thing I'm realizing, well, I've realized like 5 years ago, is that in order to get to where I want to go, I still have to promote my business, promote the DJs, and do these things, which is why I was like, you know what? Let's do Miami. I was like, I don't know anything in Miami, not a damn thing. I flew out to Miami. I literally went to, when I tell you, almost over 100 restaurants, bars, clubs, places, introduced myself, made business cards. Mind you, nobody knows who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey guys, like I own a DJ agency. I would love for Miami Music Week to showcase my DJs, throw an event. I have a lot of people from New York, Jersey coming, whatever. And it started with the first year. I made a connect, and again, the guy doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, and made a deal with me. I brought all of my DJ friends on. I, out of my own pocket, booked bigger DJs to headline, and made something happen out of nothing. And that's where, what was the word that you used? It wasn't risk, but it was that you said something factor.
Well, I was talking about taking a risk, taking a chance. Trying to think what it was, but I mean, for what it sounds like you're saying is like you put yourself in a position to succeed by putting yourself in the uncomfort.
You have to be in an uncomfortable situation in order to figure out even if you succeed or if you fail, because I failed, you have to put yourself in that situation. Otherwise, it's just you're complacent. You're just in the same spot.
Yeah.
You won't move.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a video recently where he's like, you could be running, but you could be running in place, or you could be running a marathon, like going far. So it's up to you to set yourself to run where you want to go. Yeah. So it goes to that. It's like you never know unless you try.
Yeah, no, and that's pretty cool. I like that you did that, because like I said, like you know, it's funny. I did the same thing on a smaller scale, like probably 3 years ago, in Philly. I went to every single bar in Philly, gave my card, and I didn't hear from any of them. And you gotta be told no to elevate and evolve, right? But you go into Miami and shaking someone. There's a difference between sending an email and shaking someone's hand in their face, right? And and this being like, hey, listen, I have this value that I can give you. Will you like to take a chance on me? And I think that's where you find results. And so what? That's your 5th year, right?
This year is our 5th year. But just to go back to what you said, you know, taking the chances, that's in an area that's already saturated. Like this area, probably the places you probably went to already probably at that time in the beginning had DJs and stuff like that. And you taking that chance to put yourself out there, even with the podcast in itself, you know what I mean? Like, it was the smartest thing you could have ever done, because nobody specifically, especially with what you specifically target, like on the podcast in general, in my mind, is like it's not being done. So you have like a niche in a sense where it's like, it's not just about like, anybody could do a podcast about DJs or anything like that, but you get into the nitty gritty of things, which nobody does.
Yeah, I think the biggest, and I appreciate that, by the way. I've been doing it for 5 years now, but the biggest thing that I've wanted to use is the word value, right? Like someone could take it away, whether you're in industry or not. Like I said, I don't even really do industry, to be honest. I don't like it. I don't want it to be that. Yeah. It's just the people that I like to connect with happen to be there, and I love fighters. I love people who got stories to tell. I like all kinds of people.
You've had everybody on.
Bro, it's been. I try to diversify it for sure. Yeah. Because everyone has a story to tell, and like, and too, like for me, it's like therapeutic as well. I could take something from every conversation. I feel like I have something to offer in every conversation, and I think it's so funny. Like I said, like even though we know that risks are always good to take, it's still scary taking them. Yeah. And I think at the ages we are at now, it's like there's never a time. Like I said, life is better spent, not saved, and it's always about taking those risks. You never know what can happen, man. And you know, that's like where my goal is for the next 2 years, is to really start taking risks and not allowing myself to get too in my head, you know.
I'll never forget, I was doing Stingers, and I had DJ Encore from Jersey. He came up to me, and I was talking to him about doing something, and he goes, I'm going to tell you something. He goes, you'll never know, because I said to him, I wanted to do something with somebody, and I was like, I wasn't sure. Like, I wanted to ask them. He goes, you will never know unless you actually ask. And he goes, what's the worst that could happen? They say no.
Yeah.
He goes, at least you tried. You have a 50-50 shot of either getting a yes or a no. And at that point, you know, if they say no, they say no. You move on. You might be a little hurt about it, but you have to take that, and it, you know, you move on from that and you learn, and you're like, all right. But there's always that 50-50 factor, you know. So it really goes into play with all, like, everything we were talking about. It kind of just factors in, like, it's one giant circle of
Yeah. Something I've also, like I said, nitty gritty, like I said, something I've also been thinking to myself too, like, is like, genuinely, what are we on this rock for, right? It's a big rock, but a bunch of people just don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's like, what is the actual goal? And I think that's a question I've been asking myself. Not sure if that's a question you've been asking yourself, but like, I guess what I want to say is, what do you feel like is your goal / purpose to, like, as like a human, like, just more so on a real level? Like, what do you believe that throughout your life so far has been like a goal for yours to, like, accomplish? Like, what do you...
Helping people. That's already what I know. I know that at some point in my life, you know, whether it's still DJing and doing all this stuff, that, you know, my end all be all, if, you know, I had to figure out what I was going to do in my life, it's going to probably end up being helping people in some way, shape, or form, whether it's what I'm doing now or, you know, something along those lines. Not working like hospital, being doctor, but I'm not there. But, you know, figuring out ways, because I'm the type of person where, like, if you literally called me tonight and none of your boys answered and was like, hey, my tire just blew on the highway, nobody's answering, and you're the only like, you were the last person on my call list, and I don't know what to do, I would drive to Philly and come and help you. Like, my boy Max Evans, he called me 2 weeks ago. He goes, bro, my car's not starting. And I'm like, and mind you, it's like 12:45, 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm working on my computer, and he calls me. He goes, bro, I'm stuck in the Best Buy parking lot. And so I was like, mind you, it was below zero, snowing. And so I was like, bro, I'll be right there. So I put my stuff on, I go there, go to help him out. But it's like, what I've come to learn in the progression of my life is that being there for people is more valuable. And some people take it at face value, some people don't. But knowing that I'm there for people is the most rewarding thing in my life, honestly.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
Makes you feel good. And at the end of the day, you know, I believe good things come to those who do good things. So
yeah, that's real. And that's, like, it's kind of where I'm at. That's why I try to tell myself is, like, you put good out there, it comes back one way or another, whether it's today, tomorrow, you know, years from now. And I try, like I said, I try to tell myself that. And one thing I'm, like, trying to, like, begin to practice, because I've had someone who's going through a lot, and I tell them, like, I said, because they were like, Kev, I don't, like, you ever get, like, you're in a therapist role sometimes, like, where you just don't really expect to, right?
All the time, bro.
So I
am a therapist at this point.
So I got myself into this therapist role, and I said to this person, I said, you know what you should do? I said, you should take everything that you're going through and write it down. Every single thing you go through right now, or everything that you've been through. Take it up, have that list, and rip it in half. Because guess what? You're still here. These are all the things that you've been through. These are all the things that you've gotten through. And I think, and she looked at me and was like, damn.
Damn, that's deep.
Because it's perspective, right? And, like, I think especially, like, with everything that we do and, like, the uncertainty that we do, I think a lot of times you feel like you're not able to get through it, and then you tomorrow happens, right? A year from now happens.
Nobody knows what we go through, like the actual mental, like, toll, like, not just DJ, but, like, entrepreneur, like, being somebody that's doing a job that's not
guaranteed,
no 401k. You know, there is no certainty what your future, what next week's gonna be. You know, and you have to put yourself out there, and the mental, I don't know if the word's mental break or mental capacity or along those lines, you know, you understand, it's like at the end of the day, it's like we put such a toll as entrepreneurs or whatever on ourselves, and the stress, and you know, it's hard, you know, people don't see that too. So like with like your friends, I think because we deal with so much, that is why we maybe are good at giving that, you know, because we deal with it. I think we are us kind of guys, girls, whoever that's in what we do or in the realm of what we do, we're bred different.
Yeah.
And for people who have just the regular, you know, 9 to 5 or whatever, and us giving, almost like you're saying, being a therapist, like, you know, giving that advice, trying to help people, we have a little bit of an edge because we do things where we have to take leaps, you know, take the leap of faith and hope that something good turns out of it. And we see the both. It's a double-edged sword. We see both ends. So
you know. It's like I said, and there's a lot of reward in that, and but it's a journey, and
it's something.
And I want to ask you too. So like, I mean, this has been an amazing conversation. Like, it's something that like I think that I needed to have, and something I think people need to hear as well. Like, everyone struggles with what, like, with certain things in their life, and maybe not feeling that they have an end to the light at the end of the tunnel, or someone who's in that hustle. And I want to ask you is like, is there a piece of advice you've gotten over the years, whether friends, family, another entrepreneur, or anything like that has really stuck with you?
I mean, I've had so many. That's the thing is that, you know, as I said, I've made wrong decisions in my life. By wrong decisions, nothing major wrong decisions, you know, being petty here, maybe making a wrong step there in DJ game, all that stuff like that.
Being a human. Yeah.
And, you know, the advice that I get from my inner circle, friends like Unique, you know, Joe, my friend Joe, and things like that, you know, I definitely could say that, you know, I don't want to use the term "don't judge a book by its cover," but it's like, I would definitely say, you know, if people are talking about you, and, you know, I don't know you from a hole in the wall, but, you know, a couple people came to me and they're like, you know, Kev is not a good guy. Kev is this. Kev is that. Whatever. I am not. The piece of advice I got from Unique was like, he goes, well, I don't know Kev. So, you know, just because that person might have had a bad experience with Kev doesn't mean I'm going to have a bad experience with Kev. You know, people, when I met Unique, went to Unique and was like, nah, don't mess with Brandon. Brandon, you know, will try to take your gigs or whatever, try to do this, try to do that. Mind you, this is me, young, and a lot of people back in the day, you know, didn't like the way I moved because I wasn't afraid to go to, like I do now. Like, I wasn't afraid to go to owners and managers and places and actually go make my own deals. A lot of people worked for like companies where they were just kind of in the circle. So I would get myself in good situations, and some people didn't like it. And there's mistakes that I made where, you know, I just put myself in a situation where maybe I should have asked, you know, DJ 101 etiquette, you know.
We're all human beings.
Exactly. Right? And so when I first met Unique, you know, they went to Unique and they were like, no, don't mess with him. You know, he's bad news, whatever. And me and Unique became like best friends. And I asked him, I said to him, I was like, what made you be friends with me when nobody wanted, at that specific time in my life, wanted to be friends with me? He goes, you never did anything wrong to me. He's like, he goes, I'm going to make that judgment call for myself.
Yeah.
And he's like, at the end of the day, he's like, I can't hate you if I don't have anything to hate you for. And so that's why shout out to DJ Unique. He's an OG. He is a legend in Jersey and the whole East Coast, and that's why they call him A-list.
Yeah.
You know, but he's very wise, and people respect him. And I think with me being his friend and things like that, that's what also helped me grow as a person. And you know, people were like, you know, if DJ Unique, you know, if he's friends with Brandon, then Brandon can't be that bad of a guy. And people have taken chances with me. Well, at that time, taken chances with me, and they're like, oh, you're like, not saying like that, like not boosting my ego with it, but they're like, you're not a bad person. Like, I don't know why people would ever say anything bad about you. I'm just a go-getter. Like, that's my drive. That's why I said from the beginning of when we were talking, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't have an end-all be-all. Like, it's just the next phase, and I'm the type of person where I'm gonna go get it. I'm not letting anybody get it except for myself. And you know, if I could give advice to anybody else, like you're saying, like, did somebody give me advice? My advice would be, don't settle for just one thing. Just keep striving for something greater.
Stay consistent.
Yeah, stay consistent.
Yeah, and I think the most successful people, from what I study people, I study habits, I study mannerisms, I study how people move, and the one thing I've noticed is that the most successful people are always the ones who are collaborating. I think the people at the bottom are the ones that compete, and it's just real. I think it's literally just how I feel, and it's never not okay to talk about your character. If you believe you're somebody, like I have people who go around and say things about me and from past relationships, whatever, and it's just like, it's all because of, we'll talk about that after the pod, but I don't participate in that. I just say, listen, I'm gonna let my character speak for itself. If you know me, you know me. If you don't, then you know, it's like what Tom Holland said. It's like, yeah, if you got a problem, call me. If you don't got my number, you don't know me well enough. You know what I mean? So
I love that.
It's real, and it's like and that's how you kind of have to move. Like, you kind of just gotta be like, listen, I'm myself. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna go for what I want, and you know, if you want to follow that, then follow that. But if not, then that's fine too. You know,
I feel like I went through. We have gone through so much in our life where it makes us to be the person that we are today. Like, I'm gonna ask you a question: are you, regardless of the shit you got going on, but are you happy with the person you are right now?
I would say yes. Yeah.
I would tell you, even if you said no, I would say yes. Because at the end of the day, man, you know, we like we're saying, like, you go through all these things in life, and it's like, you know, it's like they not to sound corny and cheesy, but it's life lessons. And so, like, I feel like I had to go through all the things, you know, everything that I went through in my life, whether it was good or bad, to become, I consider this, even if it's not the best version of myself, I consider it the best version of myself, because at the end of the day, I am giving everything that I do 110% all the time. You know, even if I'm not giving 110%, you know, you're here now. So you have to put in your mind that this is right now the best version you can give of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes back to where we're talking about, where, you know, you strive to get better. Don't have an end all be all, but strive to get to a better point in life.
Yeah. Know? Jason Weiss is a big mentor of mine, and he's always showed me a lot. And he always asks me, Kev, what's next for you? I'm like, Jason, I can't answer that question right now. I'm like, I don't know. I said, I have goals, but you know, my goal is to be consistent. Like, I have little things that you want to pinpoint, but I have goals.
Consistency is key.
Yeah, and momentum is the strongest force in the world. And my goal, I told him, is I want to keep having the momentum, and I want to keep going, and you kind of just let life take care of itself. And you know, I learned another valuable lesson as well. Like, these younger guys who are like in their, I think, like, they're like 21, 22. Yeah, they're trying to get into the game and the industry, and they're like, Kev, like, so they'll say that they've seen stuff that I've done, and they say that they look up to it, and I'm like, I don't know why the fuck you do, but I'm like, I appreciate that. But I was like, I told them that they're like, if they ask for advice, so the number one advice I can give you is that you can't eat the fruit from a seed you plant the next day. I was like, you gotta, let it grow. You're not gonna see results, and like that's like, it's such a hard thing as a younger, like, as a person to take.
what Philly DJs sound a little different than Jersey because the one thing I've come to see recently is the newer DJs that are coming out of specifically like Jersey is that everybody wants it right here right now. And the way I grew up, and I still to this day, is this is what Unique taught me is you pay your dues, and I'm still paying my dues even to this day. Right? I open all the time. I'm an opening DJ, but as they say, being an opening DJ is in a sense a craft almost better. Anybody could play the hits. I could play every hit. I have the folder. I could play every single hit that's hot right now. But being a guy that's playing an opening set where it's like, oh, I never heard that song before, or knowing the craft of why you need an opening DJ. A lot of these guys, the younger guys, just kind of want it now. Like, why can't I be at this point? Like, why can't I be at your spot right now? And I go, because you have to pay your dues. And I said, I'm still right now paying my dues. There's still times where I just go. Like, Unique would teach me, he goes, if you like, I'll give you something and you'll like this. So if you got booked to DJ in Jersey next week, and let's just say it's at, River Rock, right? River Rock just opened, brand new spot, not brand new spot. They remodeled and they just recently reopened, right? And let's just say they book you there. Unique would be like, okay, what are you going to do? And so I'd be like, well, I know what he taught me, but pretend I don't. And I'd be like, I don't know, gonna go play the gig? He'd be like, no, you're gonna go do your homework. He's like, you're gonna go check it out on a night that you're not playing, see how the room is, see what they do, so you can kind of get an overall visual of how you want to do your night. Don't just go, like, don't just get booked and then go and hope that it's good. Now, don't get me wrong, there's places that we just don't have the time, I know, but if you have the time and you can make the time to go check it out, he would tell you, do your homework, because at the end of the day, you don't want to go in there and then you got a curveball that gets, sideswipes you, and then you're like, shit, I wish I knew, how many times have you said you played at a place and they're like, yeah, we got equipment. We got a monitor, we got this, that, and then you go and everything's all destroyed.
Yeah, lot more times than you can imagine.
Yeah, and then you're like, shit, if I knew, I would have brought my controller, I would have brought my monitor, like, and prepared myself. And that's why he always says, like, do your homework, be prepared, like, pay your dues. Like, I kind of sidetracked from what you were saying, but it's like, Philly sounds like they got a lot better new up and coming DJ.
Yeah, I mean the problem is that people aren't asking the right questions, and I think the second you start asking better questions is when you start actually getting real fucking answers. You're not gonna say how do I play this? It's well, I mean,
come out.
Right.
Come to see me.
It's a very easy premise, and but like a lot of people aren't asking the right questions, and I think that once you start asking the right questions, you start getting the right solutions.
Yeah, you have to ask the right questions. I mean, when I first started, like I told you, I started in the promotion game. I was literally sitting there watching the DJs. As I said, I started as an MC before a DJ. So I'm sitting and I'm watching my friend Nero, and I'm like, well, why do you do like that? Or why do you do this? Why do you do that? And, he would explain to me why. So that's why, like, when I MC and I talk on the mic, people go, you kind of sound like Nero a little bit. And I'm like, well, it's because I was with him for...
That's the inspo,
I started with him. Yeah. But, it's asking the right questions and asking the right questions and doing it for the right reason. That's, in my mind, the biggest thing. People do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, you sniff the bullshit out right away.
Yeah,
and that happens. But
anybody can want to be a rock star, but if you want to be a rock star for the right reasons, because that's your dream, that's your passion, do it. But if somebody's telling you, hey, don't do that, that's you're literally going to destroy what you're trying to do. Yeah. As it goes back to everything goes back to what we're saying. It's just,
Brandon, you are a great human being.
Thank you.
I was a good pod, man. That was fun. I could chop it up for hours, man. That was that was fun. Putting people on some game and just just talking about this real life stuff that it can get lost in the weeds a little bit. Where can they find you on social media, man?
So if you want to find me, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, all that stuff is DJ Brandon Alex. If you want to go see my DJ agency page, it's Exist Agency, but it's spelled XYST and then agency. And if anybody's in Miami next week, let me know. I got a bunch of events going on. Listen, I'll help you get your ticket. We'll fly you out. I got a lot of stuff going on. So if anybody wants to come out to Miami, let me know.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to. We'll have to talk after, see what you're doing the whole week and see what's up.
I got it's like a Monday through Saturday thing. I'm already not stressed, but just more of a headache. We'll
definitely chop up after this and do like congrats on everything you're doing.
Thank you very much,
and
man.
I'm excited to see what we can do together and collaborate together. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Loft. I'm Kev Nichols. That's DJ Brandon Alex. Peace, guys. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Nice.